All right. Back home from the holidays and ready to get working once again. Okay. Oh. What's this?
Stanley, I saved all of the footage from your progress on Exit Stage Left so you wouldn't have to come up with an episode from scratch. Stanley.
Yeah, I forgot I did that. Man, good thing I did too. Can you imagine having to go through all that footage just because I didn't bother adding notes? I mean, the sheer amount of work it would go into just editing it and annotating it and making sure that I could understand what was going on just because I... What? Oh.
P.S. You had to figure out what the footage means yourself. I didn't bother writing any notes. Stanley. Hi guys, Stanley Orr here, and welcome back to Caffeinated Dragonware, where my wife Lisa and I are documenting the development of a video game called Exit Stage Left. We are so glad to finally be back making videos after our extended holiday break. So for those of you who are new or just need a reminder, in the game we're making, you play as one of two divas who are starring in a theater play. The problem is, you're hogging the spotlight and everyone, including the audience, is trying to get you off stage. It's your job to avoid all obstacles and stay on stage for as long as possible. While Lisa is working on the mobile version of the game, I have taken it upon myself to create a desktop version in Clickteam Fusion. So far, all I've managed to do is insert a rudimentary set of animations that the main character toggles between after dashing. And after polishing those animations up a bit, I decided to get straight to work on today's objective. Snapping the character to certain points on screen like a grid! Now, at first, I thought it would be easy to just recreate what Lisa did with the mobile version of the game and come up with a math formula that snaps the player to certain points on the stage and limits where the player can dash to, but...
Boo-hoo, cry,
Stanley, you okay?
No.
Did you try to create a precise mathematical formula for X positioning instead of relying on a target again?
Maybe.
Oh, there, we talked about this.
I know.
Yeah, not my proudest moment. Anyways, I've got a much better solution in mind, one that won't kill me. The plan is simple. I'm going to place 5 targets evenly across the stage, like points on a grid. These are going to be where the player can dash to. Then I'm going to program each one so that it activates something called a flag. Think of this like, well, like a flag. It's just something that can either be turned on or turned off. If a flag is raised, it basically acts like a stop sign, telling the player to stop here on this target when they're dashing. Then when the player dashes away again, the flag lowers, basically resetting it to its default state and getting ready for the next time the player dashes in. You see, in this way, the player only has a set amount of points on this makeshift grid that they can actually dash to, kind of like how Lisa has the mobile version of the game set up, only with a different mechanism to create that grid. With that being said, here we go. Okay, so the first thing I did was create a new active object. This is basically Clickteam Fusion's definition of anything at all that's interactive within the game world ever. It's just called an active object. And I color-coded this object so that if it's facing right, it's gonna be green. And if it's facing left, it's gonna be blue. Or rather, gray. Yeah, gray. See, this way it's easy for me to tell when it's in its on state, green, or off state, gray. You know, it's more dull, it looks like it's just not active. That was the idea there. And then I renamed it to target. Following this, I had some slight trouble on settling how I wanted to generate the targets in the scene, because, I need 5 of them spaced evenly across, but how am I going to do that? I mean, I could technically just manually place them evenly across the level and call it a day, but that would have some major drawbacks. Okay, first of all, that means I would have to manually put these targets in for each and every single stage that I wind up making for the game, and if we want to make tons of levels in DLC, that would be a kind of a problem. And secondly, by making it so that the computer does all the work, every stage has the targets spaced evenly and precisely no matter what stage it is. They're all the same. And I can tweak this precision as I see fit just by adjusting numbers in the code, rather than having to manually drag each and every target back and forth and play test until I like the spacing. Much easier this way. So what I did is I created something called a loop. And what a loop is, it's basically just, well, it's what it sounds like. It's something that's done over and over again for a set amount of times. This loop, I called it generate targets, so it was easy for me to identify whenever I look at the code. And I told the computer to do it 5 times in a row. So whatever I put in here, it's going to repeat 5 times. Now, what is it that the computer does 5 times? Well, here we go. Within these loops, the computer whips out its handy dandy little checklist that I gave it. And the first thing it sees is make something called a spawner and put it at this specific spot, okay? Also, use the screen's width as a reference size. Quick side note though, I am not going to explain the formula right now because I need to keep the video moving, but if you want to pause and suss it out yourself, be my guest. The computer does just that, of course. It puts the spawner right where that weird math formula tells it to. Now, magically poof a target into existence right at the spawner's position. Okay, bam! The target is right at the spawner's current position. Now, here is another math formula that Stanley is not going to bore the audience with by explaining. Just use this to move the spawner over by a specific amount. Now, do this over and over again until there's 5 targets on stage. So as you see, the process literally just repeats 5 times. Put a target wherever the spawner is, move the spawner over by a certain amount, put a target there, move it over, etc. Awesome. Now destroy the spawner once there's 5 or more targets on stage. It has outlived its usefulness. Hugs and kisses, Stanley. And there! As you can see, it's all up to snuff and working. I would go into greater detail about some of the errors I ran into, but it's been a long time since I recorded this footage, and honestly, this video has gone on long enough, so this is where I'll leave you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please subscribe. We are trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think we can totally do it. Until then, catch you later.